Hey, it's Mark with Mark's House of Cars, and we have good news today. The Countach is fixed. So it's been down for a little while, and while it's been down, it's been blocking some of my other cars. We're here in my office garage, so I'm fortunate enough to have some other fun cars to drive. But the Countach has been down for a little bit. Took quite a while to get it fixed, and it's been sitting here the whole time, so it was a little tricky getting it worked on. But I had kind of an unexpected person who was able to fix it, get it running. We'll get it started up today. We'll drive it probably to one of the laundromats, maybe both of them, and we might do some more filming while we're doing that. But the issue here was the ignition, not like the MSD ignition back here, but the key ignition. So the key got stuck when I drove it in here one day, could barely get it out, got the key out. Next time I tried to drive it, the key would go in, it would turn like a quarter to the accessory kind of notch, and then would not go any farther. So could not start it, could not do anything, could barely get it out. And who we had fix it was a locksmith. And it took some time. Not sure how much that bill's gonna be yet, because it took them quite a while, but got it figured out. Didn't have to tow it, didn't have to take it to a mechanic, which was nice. And now we're able to drive it again. So we'll show you kind of the process, what happened. I am not a mechanic by any means. I know a lot about these cars, but one thing I don't know much about is the actual key ignition system. So if people have other information or tips, love to hear them below in the comments. And yeah, let's get this started and see how it runs. So the car was down for about a month in my office garage. One of the best things I ever did was build this garage because I could drive a cool car to work. If it rains or snows or something crazy, I can leave it here. These lifts are nice, but they are dangerous. There's sharp edges all over them, and it's just kind of annoying having to squeeze between them and under them all the time. The Lamborghinis do not work well with lifts, and the main reason is the door. Very hard to get into the car if it's under a lift when your door will only open like 6 inches. And they're so wide, they don't really fit on the top either. Crawling in there would be worse than Wolf of Wall Street style. So I used a locksmith for this job, which might seem kind of odd, but I went, and there's a little bit of white paint from when it used to be white. But I went to Lamborghini forums, was trying to search, how to fix this, what the issue was. And a couple people seem to have the same issue, not with Countaches, but like I think a Mercy, maybe Diablo, and they said, call a locksmith. They'll be able to check it out and fix it. So I called a locksmith. I'm in real estate. I've worked with a locksmith for many years, who I trust. He came over, as you can see. He could not get it to move. He could not get it to pick, and ended up having to get a new kind of ignition. Now, he thought it had been spliced in and not original. I'm not sure. I also tried to use some graphite, which someone suggested. That didn't do anything. But he said it looked like the wires had been cut and a different ignition spliced in. There's a Fiat ignition, but I also know that Lamborghini use a lot of Fiat parts, so I'm not sure about that exactly what kind of ignition it was. This car was stolen in the 90s, and so it's very possible that the ignition was messed up and they spliced something else in. So who knows for sure. But he ended up ordering a used Fiat ignition to match the one that was in there. Took a while to get that. Took him quite a few parts to figure out how to get it installed right. And this car was down about a month. But like I said, so much better than having to tow it. I just never want to tow a Countach. I mean, you can trailer it, I guess, and but very few mechanics, will trailer it in, and then that just adds to the cost and everything like that. So in the end, this worked out pretty well, at least in my opinion, and hopefully this ignition lasts for another 20 odd years or more, which is what the last ignition seems to have lasted before it just went out. And he said that there were 2 parts broken inside that ignition. There's just no way to fix it. You had to get a new one. So that's what we ended up doing. And yes, very frustrating. 'Cause it's like you don't turn the key that much to start the Countach. But I was like, is it dead? Is this steering wheel locked? Is there some kind of issue? For a long time I was messing with it before I called a locksmith and hoping it would just magically fix itself one day. I mean, which sometimes happens on things, but it did not. So it was kind of nice to hear that, hey, it was a broken ignition and we know what's wrong with it and we could fix it. We are in Colorado. It snowed a couple of days ago. It's probably 45 degrees out. Well, I can see my breath a little bit. Maybe it's a little colder. But we still try and drive our cars. We. Hard for multiple people to drive a car at once. I still try to drive my cars as much as I can if there's not snow or rain outside.